conscious community at a reality sandwich. Kyle, back again with another amazing share your experience where it is one of the few times we have a returning guest, Jordan Silva. Jordan, thank you for taking the time with me this morning.
Good to see you again, Kyle. Happy to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Again, for those who may have not watched your previous interview, could you give me a brief introduction to yourself and your involvement in the plant medicine space?
Yeah, definitely. My name is Jordan. I've been involved in the wellness space for a good part of the last 8, 9 years. It's part of a big cannabis company called Flocana in California for a good 7 years. And recently I've launched my new company called Akin Kana, using this plant called Kana, also known as Scaledium. And I developed the first sort of pharmaceutical grade sublingual strip, mixing Kana with other adaptogens to create a really nice entourage effect. Kana is known as an empathogen, and is known as a natural SSRI, also as a natural mild MDMA. So it helps by reducing stress, anxiety, and alleviating mild depression.
Beautifully put. What really excited and why I wanted to chat so quickly here today is you recently returned from a breathwork experience workshop retreat out in Portugal. So I'd love to dive into that. Well, first, everybody has to breathe oxygen, but what is breath work exactly, and why are people doing that who are into wellness, and how does that pair with Kana and plant medicine?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been doing different styles of breath work for many years, and I came across this particular modality a few years ago, but really sort of started diving in um, basically on a daily last September when I went through a pretty tough breakup and was looking at different modalities to help me transition through what I was going through. Basically, there's a lot of different breathwork modalities out there, pranayama being the most ancient sort of yogic breathwork that uses controlled breathing for energy and balance, mental clarity. There's holotropic breathwork, which is rapid deep breathing to access altered states of consciousness. There's the Wim Hof method. There's transformational breath. There's rebirthing breath. um, Alchemy Rewire is not basically just breath work. What they call it is a multidimensional system. And basically, unlike other breath work methods that focus on hyperventilation or deep breathing, Alchemy emphasizes CO2 tolerance, live music frequencies, and structured integrations. Um, Basically, they believe that the elevated CO2 is the key to transformation. So instead of focusing on breathing more, Alchemy rewires and teaches students how to build resilience through CO2 retention. So using breath as a tool to navigate fear and anxiety. And instead of avoiding the discomfort, you learn to sit with it and transcend fear through breath. Um, Basically, I was going through a divorce. I was getting severe anxiety. I was getting just these knots in my stomach, and I was doing a lot of different modalities, and nothing was really working. And I came across one of these practitioners for alchemy, and I was telling him what I was going through, and he really believed that alchemy was sort of going to allow me to sort of break through that anxiety that I was feeling. So basically, by leveraging breath holds, you basically increase the CO2 in your system, and you learn to sit through that discomfort. Elevated CO2 mimics stress and anxiety and sort of triggers the sympathetic nervous system. And through the breathing breath holds and the modality, you learn how to go from sympathetic to parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. And you sort of do that over and over again, building nervous system resilience.
Wow, that sounds really incredible. Prior to that particular method, how much breath work were you doing on a daily or monthly basis? And again, after
I mean,
discovering this modality, how did you decide to commit to the retreat in Europe?
yeah, totally. I mean, I would mostly, I had done a handful of Wim Hof sort of breathing experiences, and then during different sort of yoga classes, the teachers would sometimes implement breathing techniques. I had gone to some sort of what's it called? Like I was doing like Kalabakti breathing. It wasn't really like a daily practice for me. Breathing's always been sort of part of my life. I've been a swimmer for 20 years, so I knew that there was something there, but I never really used it as a tool to break through something that was a really sort of big obstacle in my life, or to deal with anxiety. And for me, I was at a point where I was trying everything. I was trying different plant medicine, I was trying different rituals, I was trying different modalities, but nothing was really sort of removing this anxiety and this sort of elephant that I was feeling that was sitting on my chest every time I woke up. Every time I was going to sleep, I was taking Xanax to go to sleep, to really sort of alleviate myself. And basically, I was willing to try anything. And one of the practitioners, I decided to host him here in my home in Los Angeles, and we decided to start diving in daily. And it was only after the fourth day of doing the practice twice a day that I felt this sort of release from my chest. And once I felt that alleviation, I knew that I was onto something. And I basically practiced this modality every day since September 4th of last year. So I'm going on basically 1 year of practicing it every day, because once I see that something works, I sort of really stick to it and sort of dive in deep. The founder of this protocol is a gentleman called Rodo Escalante. He was a free diver that he was neurodivergent, and had his own array of issues that he was dealing with. And he found that through free diving, he was able to sort of control all the issues that he was going through. And he saw my passion for, and then my commitment basically to this modality. And they were doing a facilitator training in June and August, and he invited me to sort of participate in the lead up to that. It was a sort of 3 month intensive with a in-person facilitator training, and it was just, yeah, it was above my expectations. It was beautiful to see the type of humans that are attracted to this modality and how they ended up there and using this modality to sort of heal whatever trauma they were particularly going through. So I just felt really, really at home, and it's a really beautiful practice. And I'm excited to sort of share it with friends and family, and with the world. And I feel it's a really powerful tool to just basically navigate the ups and downs of life that we can all go through, but something that's really basically available to everyone, because breath is really free and available to everyone. And if we can learn how to utilize it into our favor, we can really sort of guide ourselves to healing.
Yeah, I'd love for you to walk me through the exact facilitator training. Where was that hosted? How did you interact with the other people there? And had you been through training courses like this? There are a lot of psychedelic facilitator courses out there, but this is very interesting to me. So I'd love to hear what made this one particularly special.
Yeah, I mean, again, so alchemy is it's comprehensive sort of modality. It blends ancient wisdom, neuroscience, and breath control to sort of create a sustainable shift in emotional resilience. Um, this particular training was held at a farm, a regenerative farm in the south of Lisbon, in a town called Simbra, that's run by a beautiful couple. They're Ayurvedic chefs, and they love hosting. So the location itself was absolutely beautiful and peaceful. There were about 17 practitioners there going through the training. And it basically, we would do a journey every morning, which is the alchemy journey. And then it was followed by movement. They integrate primal movement, which is a movement practice that really sort of gets you into your body, followed by Ayurvedic delicious cookings, followed by contrast therapy, basically sauna, cold, and then continued by a journey in the afternoon, and then a sharing circle. And then that was done for a week. And then basically, yeah, after the lunches every day, we'd spend a few hours going into the theory. And then everybody would sort of share their experience on what was what was going on in their interior world and how they were utilizing alchemy to help address it. And it was really profound. A lot of people are living lives of quite desperation and have their own levels of trauma and PTSD, and it was, yeah, it was quite a beautiful experience to see how people have been leaning on this to help guide their life and their practice.
One of the most important things that people, with psychedelic medicine is doing the work after. And how does, this, I really like the idea of the contrast therapy, the hot, cold in the body, plus the movement. How does that interact with the breathwork system, and how does that impact your daily wellness routine? And what kind of healing were you getting from that?
um yeah, I mean, look, breath I think that breath is a tool that if everybody leveraged it, we might not need um some other modalities, such as some plant wellness. I think that combining both of them is a more powerful tool. And the thing with breath work is that you have to be really diligent. You have to really put in the work. It's breath work for a reason. It's not easy. So if you don't stay consistent with it, you might not see the benefits of it over time. It's not just a one-time fix all.
Mhm.
um, the music component is basically the sound and the specific soundscapes. They guide in a deeper integration of the experience, and then the somatic integration and the movement is embodiment practices that help recalibrate the nervous system and help the learning sort of sink into your body, right? And then basically you're rewiring your neurobiology for lasting change. The goal is not momentary relaxation, but a complete reprogramming of the nervous system for long term.
Wow. Now, post, retreat,
Powerful.
what made more about the location so special? Why was it done in Portugal versus somebody running a program more local in the United States? And how does the
Um,
setting and environment impact the breath work that you do?
yeah, I mean, I think set and setting is very key. I mean, ultimately, you close your eyes and you do the breath work. You can be anywhere. You can be in your office. You can be in your home, in your living room. Um, this location in Portugal is particularly special because it always helps to sort of be in nature, to
Mhm.
be disconnected, to be outside of the city lights, to be in a very peaceful environment. Unfortunately, the founder of the protocol is currently not allowed in the U.S. due to some visa restrictions. So they've been leaning more into doing the trainings in Europe and abroad. And yeah, I mean, I feel that being in nature around amazing food and around amazing people will ultimately always be the winning sort of scenario, and the winning sort of logistics for a powerful experience, rather than sort of having to be in a city, constant noise and distraction and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I'm a fan for nature first, embodied experiences.
An important component, we say plant medicine a lot, but food is a really important medicine and what we're putting in our body. Could you talk about the diet you experienced during this retreat, and how's that impacted the food you put in your body now, and again, how does diet impact our mental and physical health?
Yeah, totally. I think that mental health can also begin with our diet. I've always been a mostly clean eater. I allow myself to indulge in different delicacies and different foods that I want, but like I've been macrobiotic for many years. I've practiced different sort of eating modalities. Um, and always sort of really value the quality of the food that I put into my system. Trying to buy local and buy seasonally. Um, the chef was trained. He was a trained Ayurvedic chef, so the meals were absolutely amazing, farm to table. We were basically putting our body into ketosis, to allow us to sort of be as optimized as possible. And the follow up with that is that I continue my healing sort of journey through breath and food and movement, um, and plant medicine. I don't do plant medicine all that frequently. I do it few and far between because I believe that you need time for the integration to really integrate what the experiences has been. But there's different levels of plant medicine and different sort of times, at least for me, on when I choose to use them, and then for me, Kana has been really important part of my journey thus far because I feel it's a plant ally that you can actually use as in a daily, because it is not as powerful as sitting in an ayahuasca session or sitting in a psilocybin session or even in an MDMA session. It's actually sort of a light plant ally that just sort of helps with balancing your mood and help regulating your nervous system.
How did you integrate Kana into your experience in Portugal, and what was the feedback or revelation that came from that?
Yeah, I mean, the feedback was great. I brought a lot of product with me because I knew that there were going to be a lot of different sort of wellness practitioners, psychotherapists, somatic wellness professionals. And the modality does, once you get to a certain level, does include certain boosters. The boosters can be anywhere from caffeine to matcha to psilocybin to cannabis, and we were starting to integrate Kana into it. So the feedback was great overall. All the practitioners that were part of the program loved it. I helped educate them on Kana. They all got some to take back, for wherever they were coming from, to sort of start integrating into their practice. So I was actually really happy to see the feedback that I was getting from them, and sort of having them understand how to leverage and use Kana in their practice, and with their patients or with their clients. Basically, one of the ways that we really like to sort of integrate it is that for, like, at least a psychotherapist that's going to be using a more powerful psychedelic with a client, let's say, they can use Kana as a buildup to that sort of a more powerful session experience, and then use Kana as an integration tool after the session. So that's sort of been the best way that they've seen on how to integrate it on the psychotherapy front.
One of the key important themes that keeps coming up in people I talk to is integration. Could you explain what that means? And again, revelation I came to during one of my plant medicine healing ceremonies is these are great medicines, whether it's breath work or Kana, but you got to do the work after and do the work with this. So could you talk a little bit about integration and your integration post this retreat?
Yeah, I mean, I think integration is the key. That's when you take the learnings or the shifts that manifested during your experience, and you put them into practice. And I feel that there's a little bit of a disconnect
Hmm.
in this space right now, because I see too many people just jumping back into the experience because they want to go back into the realm that they were in during the psychedelic experience, not understanding that the majority of the transformation happens when you start integrating everything that you went through. So, I mean, in this modality in particular, there's a somatic integration that happens as soon as you finish the journey, and that sort of is different embodiment practices that help sort of cement the learnings into your nervous system and help recalibrate the nervous system. But integration can come in various sort of forms, and I do think that that's where the majority of the healing comes from. And if you don't integrate, the learnings slowly dissipate.
Very well put. How post this breathwork retreat, what is your kind of integration modality, and how do you continue to practice?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really like the somatic reintegration. I feel it is like just very direct, and I don't even have to sort of think about it. basically, I continue to do this breath modality every day. I do it when I wake up. I do the signature. There's different sort of levels to it. There's a signature 12-minute experience that you can just do every day as your daily practice. There's signature sessions that are anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes, and then there's the full journey that's anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. So I integrate basically as soon as I finish my session with movements, with humming, with vocal toning, that I feel helps me cement my experience into my body. But then I'm very mindful, and I sit and do a slight meditation at the end of every day that sort of puts together everything that I've experienced throughout the day and helps me just sort of have moments of stillness. And again, people can integrate through journaling, through speaking with a therapist, through there's various different ways to integrate. I just find that the somatic integration is very powerful because I feel that that just sort of cements everything into my body. And sometimes it's easier for me just not even to think about the integration, but just to dive right into a somatic sort of aspect to it, if that makes sense.
No, beautifully put. Both in business and life, choosing the right partner is really important. Have you gotten over the anxiety from your previous relationship? How do you continue to process that? And what did you learn coming out of that
Ooh,
experience?
ooh,
Yeah,
tough one.
I want to get deep here. This is what
Yeah.
sharing your
I
experience
mean,
is all about.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I feel that I'm in a much better stage than I was in the past. I had this sort of analogy of what I described, what I was going through. I had sort of lost myself into my partner, and she had become my oxytocin
Hmm.
dealer. I called her.
Hmm.
We naturally produce oxytocin, but one of the easiest ways to create more of it is by human connection, human touch, somebody that you love, somebody that you're in bed with, that you can hug and feel. And when we split up, that was taken away from me, and I just felt that I was a junkie in withdrawal looking for my oxytocin dealer. I had a
Hmm.
physical withdrawal symptom of my separation. I could understand why we separated mentally, I could understand emotionally, but physically I was getting this withdrawal. And what I feel is that through alchemy, I was able to rebalance my nervous system, rebalance my neurochemicals in a way that my body naturally started to produce the oxytocin at its normal levels again to allow me to feel back to normal. And basically, that also gave me the strength to have a post breakup relationship with my ex in the way that I would have always envisioned, with only love, with only care, admiration for the times that we spent together, and an understanding that through life, at times, people grow apart and go in different directions. But coming at it from a clear point of view without any physical withdrawal was really sort of the key for me to be able to move to that stage. And I'm lucky enough to have met other wonderful people since then, and currently have a wonderful human in my life that is sort of making me appreciate rediscovering love again and being seen in the way that I want to be seen, and being held in the way that I want to be held, and communicating at the levels that I want to communicate. So I'm super grateful to be able to know that my heart is functioning, and I can love. And yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place.
Beautifully put. How is your continued integration with Kana now? When it comes to both business and relationships, how do you integrate Kana now into all things moving forward?
Yeah. I have a great relationship with Kana. I use it differently to sort of test out the various ways that I feel it can be useful to me. So on many days, I just use one of my strips in the morning before I dive into the breath work. And those are the days that I just feel that I get into this flow. I start with my kana, go to the breath work, do movements, then we'll start nourishing my body with some warm water and lemon, some fresh spirulina that I get from the local farmers market that they grow in Santa Barbara, which is amazing. Just nourishing yourself with really high quality nutrients in the morning. Followed up, I actually like to pair coffee with kana, but maybe like an hour or two after I've taken my first kana dose, and then I get into this sort of a really nice sort of flow state and vibration. I also use it frequently before meditations, yoga, exercises, swimming. I've been an avid swimmer since high school. So sometimes when I need that extra boost or not feeling super motivated to get into a cold pool to swim 2,500 yards, I'll take a slightly higher dose of Kana, which is 2 strips, which is about 60 milligrams of Kana, and I get that energetic boost that I need and sort of flow through the experience. And for me, swimming is also like a meditation. I don't bring in any music or earphones into the pool with me. I just sort of try to use that hour to really sort of quiet the mind and go into the breath and into the body and feel the just the flow of it. And at times I've been using Kana at night. I like it more as a morning practice, but also whenever I've been sort of a little bit more social in the evenings and don't want to take a glass of wine or don't want to smoke cannabis, don't want to do anything else, I'll take Kana, and it feels like a really nice social lubricant. Again, everybody develops their own relationship with Kana, and it's been really interesting to see that. My dad is 78 and he loves taking Kana before working out or going on hikes. He feels that it gives him a level of clarity and a little extra push on the energy that he really appreciates. My mom is 73. She's an educator. She at times suffers a little bit of anxiety due to X or Y reason, and she likes to take Kana sometimes around midday to help her sort of reduce those levels of anxiety. And I have friends and clients that right now are using it across different in different ways. I have this one particular customer who's been just emailing me a lot and just telling me how he's been able to go now much longer periods between his anxiety medications while using the strips, which is really nice to hear. And parents writing me saying that their kids have reduced their ADHD medications significantly while using Kana. So my thoughts are that everybody should try it and figure out what their relationship with the plant is going to be and how they can make the most use of it. Maybe starting off using it in the morning to start their day, but then also maybe realizing that for them, they need it as a sort of an afternoon boost after a long day. So it'll vary depending on person to person, and that's the beauty of the plant, that you develop your own relationship with it.
Wonderful. How do you foresee the evolution of the business around Kana? It is a pretty rare South African herb that's still pretty boutique, I feel. So, how is your business evolving, and where can people get their hands on some Kana?
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a handful of Kana brands out there that I feel are doing a good job in educating. I feel that I'm one of us. I'm one of them. So basically, if you're interested in trying my version and my product, you can go to my website, akinkana.com, and order your strips. I feel that Kana is in nascent stages right now. I believe the global market for Kana is doesn't even top 100 million a year so far. But I have been in conversations with a lot of the different players involved and seeing how they're sort of planning for the future and how sort of the agricultural part of it and the cultivation part of it is also sort of consolidating and sort of preparing for a wave of demand. Um, Coincidentally enough, the other day I went to visit a Kana lab here in Los Angeles, and it was just an eye-opening experience to sort of to see where they were going, what their belief in the space was, how they were getting integrated with farms, and sort of some of the clients that were in the pipeline for them. So there's going to be a wave of kind of brands coming into the market over the next few years, and the belief is that this is going to turn into a multi-billion-dollar market, which I hope it can withstand. Um, there's basically not enough kind of right now to meet this growing demand. That's why it's important for the people that are involved, to get involved on sort of understanding where they are going to be securing their extract or their plant matter from, because just like every other compound out there, there is going to be an illicit market popping up with a low quality kana or even fake scaledium extracts that have just a minor percent of scaledium extract that is just mixed with fillers. So it's going to be really important to understand where your kana is being sourced and that it's being sourced with the right practices.
Very
Yeah.
well put. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for sharing today. Please, everyone, check out Akankana, amazing, awesome, you know, product to elevate your wellness routine.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kyle. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And again, I love the work that you're doing and everything that you guys are up to. And yeah, look forward to chatting again soon.